Hi everyone. um, I don't know why I'm giggling. I'm just giggling. It's funny to be doing a review, but I felt like, hey, we'll do a review today. So here we go. I have not over the past year really been keeping up on a lot of new releases. I have recorded a review of the Angelarium deck, and I will upload that at some point soon. It's just on my laptop, and so I will need to, find that and get that set aside and everything. Um, but so I have done a review of that, and that was a deck that I did receive. That was a newer deck over the last year, but I haven't really been paying attention too much to any new decks or following new decks the way that I have in years past. It's just not been. I've been much more in a place in my personal journey of a lot of huge life changes, and so it's been more about the authenticity of my spiritual path and how it's supporting me through those changes as opposed to collecting decks. So, I'm sort of not saying that I won't be doing reviews on the channel. It's just that they're not going to be as plentiful as they used to be because I'm just in a very different space in my life and also like for what's important to me. And so I really do look at decks as beautiful artwork, let's be honest, right? So there's that collecting standpoint. But most importantly, as a spiritual tool on my path, and so there are decks that I work with that I find to be very, very powerful. And for me at this time, investing any time and energy I have into those decks that pack a powerful punch feels a lot more worthwhile to me than just buying a bunch of decks that I'm not really using. So I have not been paying attention to what's been going on. I for years was a huge Alana Fairchild collector, as you all know. I still highly recommend the Isis Oracle and the Sacred Rebels Oracle to anyone, and the Kuan Yin Oracle, who comes into Made on Earth looking for a new deck. So I do greatly appreciate her decks. And I didn't realize she had a new deck out, but I just somehow ended up coming across this, which I believe is a newer release, so I'm not even sure when it came out, guys, but it's the Love Your Inner Goddess deck by Alana Fairchild, and I don't know why they don't put the artist's name on the front. Like, here we go, it's on the side. Artwork by Lisa Ferranti. I hope I'm saying her name right. But, like, why can't we put that on the front of the box? Because the artwork is pretty important, right, guys? Like, come on, people. But, so I ended up picking this up for the store and ended up deciding to try it because it's Alana and I do love her decks. And I'm actually have been really pleasantly surprised with the deck itself. And I've used it a lot with clients over the last few weeks. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's different with that as opposed to what I typically do, and and then I'll go through the deck with you guys. But the artwork is, I'm a really big Kaya Koopman fan, as you guys know, and I'm much more pulled to that type of artwork if I'm going to go pop surrealism than necessarily this expression. But that being said, the artwork isn't such that it detracts from me using it. It's just simply that not every image is my favorite, but I'm much more concerned with the energetic message of the cards in this deck than I am with the artwork. So, it does not matter to me to the same level as, say, the artwork in a Chicoli deck matters to me. I'm not as connected to the artwork in this deck, but I do, and I find it at times to be a little bit juvenile, to be honest, and again, like, this is totally a personal preference thing when it comes to artwork. But other than that, I mean, the use of color in the deck is typically, pretty much bold. You've got a lot of bold colors in this deck, which lends itself well to single card draws and meditating with the cards themselves, which is primarily how I connect with the deck anyhow, personally. So they do lend themselves well to that type of connection if that's what you are also called to do in your personal spiritual practice with cards. Now, that being said, here's how I'm using it with clients. So I typically am using them with Reiki clients and with a few card readings, over the last few weeks, and I am not using them as clarifying cards to tarot. Instead, it's a single card draw, and I typically will read a paragraph out of the guidebook to the client. Now, many of you know that's not typically how I work with cards. I don't like reading guidebooks in front of my clients. I think that it's a cop-out as a reader. And like, if you're a reader, you should know your deck well enough. If someone's coming to you and paying for a session, you shouldn't be reading out of a guidebook. But this is much more of a reading as an affirmation. So at the end of a Reiki session, pulling a card, and then I will read the affirmation to them. And I actually really like the way she set up this guidebook, even though it's not as meaty as some of my favorite guidebooks of hers. It's still actually one of my favorite guidebooks of hers. So this is the guidebook itself. Typical Blue Angel, like everything is typical Blue Angel. It's about, you get about 87 pages of guidebook goodies. And the way that it's set up is there's this inner reading part, and then there's spiritual guidance, and then there's sacred ritual. So you have a choice about what you want to focus on. And with my clients, I've really been reading the spiritual guidance part for them. And each of those are just about a paragraph each. So it's not too much information. If you find Alana's guidebooks to be really wordy and not up your alley, and trust me, I know that some of you feel that way. I happen to love meaty guidebooks, but I understand, not everybody does. But this is a guidebook that's not going to be too much information, but is still really, like, packs powerful punch in the information given, the quality of the information given. And it's very, very affirmative. It's absolutely a sacred feminine deck. So it's got that very flowy, what you would think of as a traditional sacred feminine energy. That being said, the messages are still really powerful and very much a call to understand and embrace your truest self and to step into that on your path, as well as to look at your wounds and peel back those layers and heal those pieces. So there's a lot that you're getting for your spiritual path from this deck. It's not a clarification deck for divination, I don't feel. It's not something I would use for that. It's not something that I'm going to use for a reading. This is a deck that I pull one card for myself every day. I read the guidebook meaning, and then I meditate with the message throughout the day. And if I can, sit with the card itself and meditate with the card. Like I said, for clients, it's been more of a pull a card at the end of a Reiki session, and I'll read the affirmation to them. Or if it's in a reading, I might, at the end of the session or somewhere in the session, pull a card for them and then read the spiritual guidance paragraph to them as an affirmation for where they are on their path. Now, what I found with this is that every time that they choose a card from this deck, it's absolutely spot on for the affirmation that they need. So it's a very effective deck. And like I said, I'm very impressed with it, but as you can see, I haven't shown you the artwork yet because it's more about how the deck energetically works than how the artwork affects me, to be honest with you. But that being said, there's nothing that I can't stand in the deck. So this is the backing. It's got that kind of spiral thing going on. In like reds and browns. Not my favorite backing, not my least favorite backing. I'm kind of neutral about it. And then, you have the card title, which is hero, and then there's some type of affirmation or phrase. Like for this one, it's be your own hero. I love this one. Warrior Goddess. These two remind me of Micheline Pitt. Like, I feel like she was definitely in some of them drawing off of certain real life people. But I love that this one is Daughter of the Sacred Heart, and I think it's a gorgeous card image. So that, that's lovely. It's not... all good things are wild and free. Some of them a little bit, I feel like that the Etsy artist who did those two decks that I posted videos of maybe a year and a half ago, and I cannot remember her name right now, and I love those decks, and I feel a little bit like they kind of maybe in some way ripped her off a little bit. I don't know if this deck was in production well before she had posted her own. But, and I will look that up and post the links to those decks down below, but I cannot remember the artist's name right now, and I apologize for that. Those decks are currently in storage for me right now, so I haven't worked with them in some time. But, to me, it feels a little bit like those two gorgeous indie decks, and I wish that Blue Angel had maybe allowed this to look a little bit different than that. But I don't know, that just is my personal feeling, and I could be totally way off on that. I just really do love those two decks that I cannot remember the name of right now. But like this one has, I am enough, mother, daughter, sister, lover. And the card title is Peacock Priestess. So, you know, it's definitely a very flowery, feminine. Here's like this, doesn't this look like Micheline Pitt, guys? Like, right? It's like so much. Right, guys? Like, yeah. So, this is a beautiful image as well. Like, no problem. This is called Medicine Wisdom, and there's some little words like beauty kind of filtered in throughout the flowers. Again, some of the images are great. Here's Tribe of the Kindred. I carry your heart, I carry it in mine. Shaman of Skulls. This is a lot, like, I love this one. Like, so there's some that I enjoy. On the whole, Damselfly Brings Direction is, you know, it's just not my most favorite artwork. It's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring, freaking beautiful. You know, some of it's feels a little bit like a platitude, but then you read the guidebook and you get a lot of wisdom out of it. So, do you see what I mean? Like, this is a deck where you want to use the guidebook with it, or you're going to lose something. Whereas with those two indie decks, there wasn't a guidebook, and I didn't need a guidebook with those. So, this is not artwork dependent for me. Any artwork could be on this deck, and I would be enjoying it because of the connection with the guidebook and the energetic feel of the deck, if that makes sense. I'm not going to show you guys every image, but let's see. Here's Mermaid Soul. Love is not blind. It only sees what matters. So, you know, it's a very, the artwork is fine. And let me tell you how many cards are actually in the deck. It's a typical Blue Angel size without borders. Thank you, Blue Angel. But the card size is typical. I love this card size for single card daily draws and meditation. I don't know. I know some of you feel like it's too big. I don't feel that way at all. I love this card size. I wish all my decks were this size because for the most part, this deck is an exception. I want to see the artwork. I want to really be able to immerse myself in the artwork. So let me tell you, does it say? I don't know why they don't say this. How many cards are in that box anymore? It's 44, typical 44. So you've got 44 cards in here. The cardstock is typical Blue Angel, like it's all Blue Angel we've come to know and to know and love well. And I think I will be using this deck definitely for clients in the years to come for sure. And certainly on my personal path at this time, I found it to be very effective. So it's definitely one that I recommend. With the caveat that the artwork is certainly not my favorite, but it doesn't detract from the power of the energetic connection with the deck, and the guidebook is amazing. So if you are looking for something like that in your practice, it's a worthy investment. If you go into a boutique or a store and buy this deck, a local place, you're going to pay like $23.95 in the States. I think if you get it on Amazon, it's probably $17.99. So that's the investment you're looking at making. The box, the inside is this nice red color, kind of like scarlety tone. And I am keeping the box because I do find with traveling and all those good things, the way that things have been lately, for me, the boxes are nice and sturdy Blue Angel boxes, and they take care of the deck very well. So I have kept the box with this one. And I'll just read you the back now that we're at the end of the review. This luscious oracle deck has been created to help you tune into your intuition, fire up your creativity, and celebrate your sacred feminine spirit. The sacred feminine in you is unconventional, healing, loving, and beautiful, and ready to rumble. She doesn't want to be hidden away. She wants to rise up, so her creative fire and loving wisdom can transform your life. Discover your own sacred feminine spirit. That includes your inner priestess of love, medicine woman, gypsy spirit, mermaid soul, empowered warrior goddess, and so much more. This card set will help awaken your soul talents as you love, respect, and nurture your authentic self. You are supported to discover and express a sense of passionate purpose to live your own unique and beautiful life. It's time to love your inner goddess as you live with playfulness and courage straight from the heart. So, you know, it could sound a little cliche, but I don't think that its spirit is cliche at all. I think it is very much about exploring and giving full expression to the sacred feminine within. I would love it if she also followed it up with a sacred masculine. Like, I think that would be awesome too. And then being able to use the two together would be super fun. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if Alana's open to that or not. But it's certainly a solid output from Alana. It's an Alana deck that I'm definitely going to keep and will work with over the years, in a way that certain decks like Divine Circus have kind of fallen away from me. I haven't really spent time with that deck in some time. Some of the newer ones by her, the Lightworker Oracle, I really just didn't connect with at all. I didn't feel it. Just didn't speak to me really. This deck really has spoken to me very clearly, so I'm very happy that there's a newer Alana deck that I'm enjoying working with as well. So, that's my opinion on this deck. Again, it's the Love Your Inner Goddess deck by Alana Fairchild with artwork by Lisa Ferranti. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys have purchased it, if you're investing in it, you know, if you found the investment to be worth it for your spiritual path. It's, in my opinion, a solid oracle deck. So, I hope you all are doing well. I will see you in the next video. Much love, many blessings. Bye, guys.